For a little over a year, like back in '96. I had a friend that lived on the other side of Winterfeldplatz, and I would always come by this bar, and it would be loud, there'd be music and condensation on the windows and stuff. And I would always look in and to see, like, you know, all these black guys and these white women just kind of staring at each other, and I don't know, it was weird. And on my first day of work, Thomas Femmerling, the owner of the Slumberland, did two things. He gave me a set of keys to the bar, then he showed me how to properly pour a Pilsner. It takes exactly 7 minutes for ein gutes Pils, he said, handing me an effervescence glass of beer with a head so thick it could support a silver piece. And I figure if it takes that long to pour a good beer, it'll take at least 7 or 8 months to program a good jukebox, so take your time, DJ man, take your sweet time. Then he plucked his coin from my beer and left me to my duties. Bars in general are depressing places, but especially at 8:30 on a serene Monday morning. And there I was, alone and unbreakfasted, drinking a 7-minute beer, unable to block out the disconcerting chatter of children skipping merrily to school. The Slumberland Juke was a brand new Wurlitzer SL900. Unplugged, it sat dark and lifeless against the far wall. I immediately sympathized with the machine, for it reminded me of myself some years ago. A newborn black child come into the world obsolete and passé. The SL900's curse was that it played 45s and not the digital compact discs that were then just starting to take over the market share. Only 2 weeks old and the juke was already an antique. Still, it remained impressive and intimidating, and I approached the noble machine with the reverent caution that a game warden uses on a sedated grizzly bear. There, boy, settle down. Everything's going to be all right. I opened the lid and counted 50 record slots, room enough for 100 songs, approximately 13 hours of continuous music. That meant I had to come up with a playlist of 50 songs so compatible with one another that any one jam had to be able to seamlessly follow, precede, complement, supplement, and riff off of any other jam. I also had to take into account 50 additional B-sides, songs whose strains might be less familiar, but if mistakenly punched into the jukebox, wouldn't bring the Mac Daddy maneuvers of the Slumberland's miscegenation menagerie to a screeching halt, and might even hit a funk-drunk listener to some classic James Brown besides Papa's Got a Brand New Bag. I needed songs that would make the bar's black male clientele feel important, knowledgeable, and yes, superior. Songs whose intricacies and subtext they could explain to the Fraulines without feeling like racial quizzlings to the negress mothers and wives left back home to toil over the Serengeti and Amana ranges. I needed songs that spoke to the white woman's inner nigger, the nigger who had so much in common with these defeated and delusional men, the bipolar white nigger woman in all of us who needs to be worshipped, whistled at, and sometimes beaten. That the Slumberland jukebox would be stuffed with perennial pop songs, bebop, and Memphis soul. It would be a 50-pfennig musical library capable of dispensing stereophonic hope and salvation to the downtrodden from Harlem to Wiesbaden. It would help a haughty German woman come down off her high horse and put a discouraged diasporic black man on his. This wouldn't be like making a mixtape for the schoolyard crush filled with slow jams, conscious rap, James Taylor, saccharine jazz, and rainstorm interludes. I had to program that jukebox so it'd be me DJing on autopilot. Turn it into an electric doppelganger, flashing its rainbow lights, blowing its plastic bubbles in my trademark shit. Goddamn, get off your ass and jam, eclecticism. All I needed was that one record that would get the party started, make the ladies say, ho, the homosexual say, hey, and the skeptic say, fuck it. I sipped my beer, the second best beer I ever had, and asked the question I imagine all great artists ask themselves before engaging in the creative process. Is there a God? I weighed the arguments pro, Hawaiian surf, Welch's grape juice, koala bears, morning Levi's, the Northern Lights, the Volvo station wagon, women with braces, the Canadian Rockies, Godard, Nerf footballs, Shirley Chisholm smiles, free checking, and Woody Allen. And con, flies, Alabama, religion, Chihuahuas, Chihuahua owners, my mother's cooking, airplane turbulence, LL Cool J, Mondays, and how boring heaven must fucking be, and Woody Allen. not so much to prove or disprove the existence of a powerless almighty, but to engage my increasingly tipsy thought process with so much conscious prattle that an idea might strike me when I wasn't looking. After about 20 minutes of this, I'd come as close as anyone with an associate's degree in library sciences has come to disproving the existence of God. But I was no closer to programming the jukebox. Such is the way of the amateur theologian and the professional jukebox sommelier. Squeak! There was a cautious, almost shy squeak coming from outside the bar. Squeak! I lifted the bamboo window shade to investigate, and to our mutual surprise revealed a startled schoolboy writing on the dew-covered windows with his fingertip. He blinked once, smiled, then resumed his condensation graffito. Though he wasn't finished, it was obvious he was writing Ausländer raus, foreigners out, on the pane. No one ever writes. Can you read this one?
Ausländer bleibt. Wir brauchen, mögen und schätzen die kulturelle Vielfalt, die ihr uns durch eure Anwesenheit schenkt.
Foreigners stay. We need and enjoy and respect the cultural diversity your presence provides us. Ausländer raus is a phrase that most commonly associated with racist skinheads after German reunification. It was in fact popular in West Germany long before Ronald Reagan wreathed Nazi graves at Bitburg and demanded that Gorbachev tear down the Berlin Wall. However, it wasn't the boy's xenophobia that intrigued me. It was the sonorous screeches his finger made as he wrote on the glass. It reminded me of a sound that I couldn't quite place, and I went outside to get a better listen. Just as the kid was putting the finishing touches on his public ignorance, he saw me coming and tried to run away. He was weighed down by his haversack, so I easily ran him down and marched him back to the window. He went obediently to erase his work, but I stopped him. 9-9, I said, waving my finger in his panic-stricken face. Bitte Ende. Please finish. I held his hand to the glass, and he timidly completed his opine. The squeaking letters, loud and pitched in a distinct minor blues key I recognized as C minor, but whose timbre and color I still couldn't place. When the little xenophobe made the long downward stroke of the exclamation point, it hit me. The squeak sounded exactly like Oliver Nelson's tenor in Stolen Moments. I had my first tune for the jukebox. Stolen Moments is Oliver Nelson's signature tune, a song that I find to be the ultimate mood setter. It's a classic jazz aperitif. Oftentimes when I play hardcore underground hip-hop or punk gigs, after 3 or 4 especially rambunctious tunes, the mosh pits begin to resemble the skirmish lines of a Bronze Age battlefield. The warehouse windows start to shake. The record needle starts to skip. The women have that I'm down with the program, whatever motherfucker look in their eyes. And I know the party is one more Wu-Tang Killer Bee Sting or Bad Brains power chord from turning into Attica. I play 15 to 20 seconds of Stolen Moments to ease the tension, keep the peace. Its incongruous beauty brings about the wry existential lugubriousness of the Christmas Eve carol coming from the enemy encampment on the other side of the fog-covered river in a hackneyed war movie. Stolen Moments is the type of intrusion, a lull in the fighting, a time to finish that drink and forgive and forget. The people know I'm providing a respite from the real by granting them a temporary reprieve before I hit them with the next piercing Mobb Deep fuck you falsetto, bounty killer lick shot, or soul-splitting pre-sellout angst-ridden biohazard scream. I knew immediately that Stolen Moments would be the Slumberland signature tune, a smooth mid-tempo song. It would provide a sticky, almost humid background to an already sexually charged atmosphere. If a female failed to become aroused by her African peacock unfurling his tail feathers, it'd bring out the sheen of his olive green polyester sacks, burgundy silk shirt, and tan patent leather shoes. When the middle-aged West Berlin lioness sings about the place, flicking her feather cut and stalking her prey, Dolphy's flute would gently lift both her sagging breasts and her spirits. Paul Chambers' bass would enhance her rear end with some downtown Detroit rotundity, and Bill Evans' piano would unaccent her English, put words in her mouth that she didn't know she knew, and make her immune to egotistical blackmail bullshit. Maybe one day Doris, while stalking Bar, would hear the song and forgive me for stealing her moments. I know the song is yet to be written that would allow me to forgive myself. The schoolboy dotted the exclamation point, and I thanked him. Ausländer raus never sounded so beautiful. I went back inside to finish my beer and watched the sun erase his slur. Thanks.